Already Tracy challenged Black Dusk, Loud, Criminal Arsenal, no explosives, and explosive revenge. We haven't got a thumper, nor do we have a CHA, but it's not. The CHA part's not that relevant here. There is no explosives though, which means that we don't have breaching charges or C4s. And I suppose as well, we don't actually have any thumpers, but that's just Criminal Arsenal. But I do find it quite comical that all of the enemies have explosives in the form of either Explosive Revenge or the Armories. And as for Explosive Revenge, if it isn't just carrying those explosives, it's going to be spontaneously creating them or forming them upon death, which I suppose is still valid, so we'll just stick with that. There is a floating Fi-7 over there, which I suppose is slightly of interest. Hi there, units. Now, Cyber, that's kind of on you for not staying behind that, but sure. We're just gonna clear the rest of the units, and it will be absolutely perfect in that we will hopefully not lose too much health, and we can, well, not die, which I see that as I stand right in front of the CBRCs, which really want me dead, but there is some flanking which I'm not really all that prepared for, so we're just gonna go on this side so that we can not get sniped by CBRCs 200,000 times, which seems like a perfectly valid concern. We're just gonna leave that saw blade for Cyber later on, since we're doing fun on ammunition right now, and we could very easily do something else for a bit later on, which... Hi there, units. I hear breaching, and I don't think it's from in front of me, which means that presumably there are going to be units going through there later on, which is an absolutely terrifying prospect, but if we're going to count a bunch of units and that's going to be all clear, then that works out as well, I suppose, which... Explosive Revenge is the best, right then. We'll just go over here and help out a bit, before realizing that it's a horrible idea, because I did in fact hear something. But I suppose now they'll be dead for a slightly longer time, so we're just gonna blowtorch it. And then hopefully not meet any new units. And we're just gonna take over from Cyber, since Cyber is done blowtorching, which... If I cannot take the occasional bullet, that will be absolutely stellar, so we're just gonna finish blowtorching it, which might take a bit of time. And then we're just gonna start running, which... You know, just saying, it would still be quite great if the units didn't show up, but... If that be the case, we might as well just move right around now, which... I mean, it's just a bit of avoiding dying, which seems a bit appropriate, but we're just gonna stay over here as Cyber, I suppose, ventures downwards for Thermite and a C4, but... What was that for? Not even this right now, it's just purely... I'm grabbing that from you. Exactly. Right then, so we'll just clear these units over here. Cyber's gonna get rid of that, and then we're just going to miss on that over there. Swap over here, and then afterwards go over here, where there are plenty of C4s for us to grab. And I suppose a bunch of saw blades as well, which is always great, except they're empty, so I would not exactly advise that Cyber come over here, which seems slightly more obvious in hindsight, but we're just gonna leave it at that. We'll grab the CBRCs because we can, and that's really the only reason. And of course, we can't grab more mech kits, but at this time, we really might as well heal up. I mean, I'm not saying it's gonna be perfectly worth it, but it's not exactly a complete loss on our part either, so we're just gonna go through here. We're gonna go up over there, and we're just going to avoid dying, which... There is a screwdriver over there, and I'm not really all that afraid of missing my C4 horrendously, so I'm just going to peek. I say that as I take a bullet, but we'll survive. Cyber, you are aware I've got C4s, right? Which are famously colored differently. But we'll just stay alive, and then afterwards it'll be absolutely fantastic. Well, the explosive is not under us, but it's certainly in front of us, which makes moving in that direction slightly less appealing, so we're just going to slowly venture this way. Come over here, since I'm pretty sure there's absolutely no one, and... Well, if the units are not going to go after Cyber, they better be going after me, because... Otherwise, Cyber's going to be in for a relatively bad time. Now, I'm not sure if that was a shotgun or if that was a CBRC, but that was equally terrifying. So we'll just clear that over there. We're gonna go through here. And since we've got a screwdriver, this shouldn't take all that long, which means that we shouldn't get ambushed all that badly, which is the ideal situation over here. So we're just gonna go through here. At this point, since we've got a bit of time that we can buy ourselves, we really must have just hide our guns in the hopes that they don't come after us, which will probably still happen, but we'll just leave it all over here, and then we'll let our sprint regenerate, and then we're just gonna plan on moving out of here, which I mean, hopefully we don't get flanked other than whatever that was, which is a bit less of an option, but we'll just grab the two over here, and then we'll just quickly run back over here, since I find it quite hard for units to... Actually, let's clear the back real quick. Alright, I find it quite hard for the units to be coming after us, and I don't see any reason why the unit will go to all the way at the end of the vents, which means that unless something absolutely extraordinary happens, we shouldn't get shot from behind, which... So that's great. Let's heal up. And then let's move. And then let's damage them a bit, since we don't really want them dead so more units don't spawn, which is kind of important over here. And then we're gonna clear the remaining 3 units that didn't get cyber, which I suppose works out, just not really all that well. And then we're just going to grab all the medkits, which I guess works out just as well, and then we're just going to leave this all over there, which does not contain anything of value, so we're just gonna grab our previous bag, we're gonna drop down 2 medkits, we're gonna grab this too, and then we're gonna avoid dying, which seems vaguely important, but this is only slightly terrifying because it's not a weaker medkit, so I can't just heal up 3 times and start running, which would make things much, much easier, but we'll try our best over here. Despite our relatively poor options. And hopefully we won't get a spot to our right, which seems to be the case, so we'll just run through here. And then avoid dying, which is a slightly tall order, but we're still alive right now, so we'll just leave it at that. We'll quickly grab some ammunition, then we'll just get moving, since time is of the essence, and the more time we spend doing this, the more time we spend, well, not being alive, which... This is only vaguely terrifying, but we'll just plant one over here. We'll back up to the wall, and we'll just sprint to the other side. Hopefully before any units start showing up towards me. We'll plant one over here. I might just grab the medkit, but we really don't need it at this point. And then we're just gonna run back over there, which... So far we're not meeting anyone. Absolutely fantastic. But we'll go through here. Go over here. Meet them over there. And then run back this way because that's a shotgun squad, and we really, really do not need to run in this situation. And as for the Onyx unit, we've got a slightly unconventional method, which is to just... aim and hope for the best, which... frankly... barely works out, but at least we've got a decent amount of reaction time towards what's happening over here, which is always a good quality to have. Now that's a lot of angry shotguns, so I'm gonna back off for a bit. We're gonna step slightly forward. We're gonna empty a magazine, and then afterwards we're just gonna reload. Step forward again. Empty another one over there, and then we're gonna back off, since right now seems like the rather appropriate time to not get shot, which, if that isn't slightly evidenced by that, we're just going to clear that over there. Clear all of that over there. Heal up again. Empty another one and presumably miss a lot of it. Give the MM20 a short spin. Reload the MM20. finish clearing that, hopefully. And then afterwards, well, maybe not dying to the shotgunner switch. Seems a bit appropriate, but regardless, that's the daily challenge done in just under 10 minutes. Well, that somehow worked out. Cheers everyone, have a great time!